Give me a second here to switch my Twitch accounts. Do see we are live though. Oh, wrong password. Okay. There we go. Okay, welcome to Fireside Chat number 274. I believe I have the count right on that. Double check our archives. Yeah, okay. Yeah, very little to go over. Congratulations to Comrade, aka Comes Peregrinus Warden, Warrior of the Month, and to the Guardians of Ruterra on League of Legends, the Platoon of the Month. Got the Olaf's Berserkers channel named after them. Beyond that, not a whole lot. We got a few people on LOA, so we're kind of cruising for the time being. I think probably what I'll do is take the time to go over for anybody who hasn't heard before. I know I've gone over a few times, but kind of what we're talking about for the initial rollout of some of these platoon changes. Again, it's nothing massive, but it is some improvements. I think improvements. The big thing is going to be platoon leader certification. That's what I'm calling it. So currently, the way we have it is if you want to reach the rank of Master Chief Petty Officer or higher, each of those ranks has sort of a officer training requirement. So essentially, an officer trains you. You have to do a couple of different things to kind of prepare you for that role. Once you do them, then you're eligible for promotion to the next rank. So we are going to do the same thing for platoon leader certification, and the reason being that I'd like it to be, I mean, it is currently that anyone can run a platoon, but in practice right now, running a platoon doesn't really involve a whole lot. So it's kind of like, why would you start a platoon? Because you don't really do anything. I mean, you have to write a situation report, but that's about it. And currently we have a lot of COs stepping in and writing situation reports. There's been some people stepping up and doing that, which is really cool to see. So thank you to those of you who are doing that. And it's not a slight to people who aren't stepping up and doing it. I think part of it is just the word is not out. We're not, asking for volunteers to do it in some cases when we could be. So anyway, long story short, what we're hoping to do is get some more fresh platoon leadership and backups to those platoon leaderships too we're going to need. So first in command, second in command, that kind of deal. If you're an old schooler like me, lieutenant and lieutenant junior of a platoon. So yeah, currently anyone can make a platoon, but what we're going to do is increasing some of the responsibilities of those people who are running platoons. So you'll not only write the situation report, but you'll actually be able to promote and demote people up to your own rank. Or rather, if you're a platoon leader, you're effectively the rank of Master Chief Petty Officer. So you'll be able to promote and demote people up to your own rank, which is effectively MCPO. So how does that work? Well, basically, we've got a new bot, which is Fireside, I think. Just got these bots, so I actually forgot what we even named it. Should I just check his channel if the bot was actually in, because then I would know. It is Fireside, yeah. So we actually have two different bots. One is called VAR. It's a member list bot. That lets you actually see who has a role. So you can basically not ping a role, but just check a role, and it'll show you everyone who has it. So you can actually see everyone who, say, has the League of Legends player's role without pinging all those people. So it's a good way if you're a platoon leader or whatever, or anybody, to just check that. So I'm hoping to get the word out on that. But admittedly, that's going to be a challenge because you're going to kind of have to show people how to do it. Not that it's really complicated, but I mean, you kind of have to try it out and figure it out. But what I was talking about before is the Fireside bot, which basically allows those platoon leaders to promote and demote people. Now in Discord, as in assigning the roles on Discord specifically, which is kind of the baseline point of it. I mean, they can go further and actually update the people on the roster, but they don't have to. I'm trying to make it easier on people. So basically, Sanctifico tracks any kind of role changes. So Sanctifico will post in the roster changes channel if those roles change. So really all you have to do is change the roles on Discord and you're effectively good to go. That's all you really need to do because Sanctifico will track it. So if you don't update the roster and such, somebody in the officer staff will see that and will be able to update the roster for you if you don't do it. So this bot actually, basically, the problem is Discord role permissions are such that if you give somebody the manage roles permission, they can create, edit, and delete roles. So it means that you can give people any role on the server that's below your highest role, and you can also delete roles. So somebody could theoretically delete all the roles. highly unlikely anybody would actually do that, but easy to mess with that kind of stuff accidentally. So we don't really like to give everyone the manage roles permission. Um, so the simple fix is creating kind of an intermediary in this case, which is the Forseti bot. So basically, you can use this bot to promote or demote people below your own rank, which is MCPO. And it kind of lets us sort of fine tune that permission. So instead of giving you the manage roles permission, we give you access a role, which is platoon leader, which gives you access to the bot and lets you promote and demote people up to MCPO. So you do the same thing. So basically, we're going to let platoon leaders do that, and also they have to write the situation reports, and in promoting and demoting, they'll also actually review the roster of the platoon at the end of the month. So they'll do the roster review just for their platoon members. So kind of a fair bit more to do, and that's the main reason for the platoon certification thing, is that we want to make sure that anyone's running a platoon knows how to do that stuff, really for their benefit and for ours. So the certification is not really intended to be like a gatekeeping thing, because being able to use the bot and also being able to do the roster review on the spreadsheet and everything, I mean, we have COs that are rusty on that kind of stuff. So really what we want to do is make sure that anyone running a platoon knows how to do that. So the current initiative is to get all COs and platoon leaders and potential platoon leaders for potential future platoons we may be rolling out certified. And anybody can take that. So, I mean, you can be a recruit and you can get certified to run a platoon. You're welcome to do that. Right now, I'm the only one that can do it as far as giving you certification. But if you just want to ping or DM me, if I'm around, I'm happy to hop on and help you out with it. I mean, we've yet to actually certify somebody, but I'm pretty sure it would take like 30 minutes at most, possibly less, depending on how quick you pick it up. But basically, we just want to make sure you know how to do all that stuff. So kind of sort of we'll do like a mock, sit rep and roster review, or I'll just like pick a few people and say, hey, write these guys on the roster, like check if they're active or not, write it out on the roster, show me that you know how to do it, and show me that you know how to use the bot to promote and demote somebody. I'll probably just have you promote and demote me, mess with my ranks because it has no effect on anything. Yeah, and kind of train people how to do that. So that's something I really like to do. And I'm trying to get all the COs on board with getting them certified, and then so on and so forth. But I'm happy to certify anybody right now who's interested. And that's what we're trying to do. I mean, the current timeline, subject to change, but the hope is to get everybody certified by the end of January. And that may be ambitious, but that would be great, because then the goal is to actually have all these platoon leaders do the roster reviews and situation reports and such by the end of March. And then kind of that will be sort of a test run, just having them do the roster review and the sit reps and such to make sure that they know how to do it in theory. And we'll create kind of preliminary rosters for the platoons, because everyone's going to have to be put into a platoon. It's not going to have the meaning it might have in the 3rd Fleet, where you're kind of stuck there and you have to transfer. You can transfer platoons, of course, but the way it'll work with this is really your platoon is just kind of, it's sort of like your go-to officer is really what the platoon means. The leaders of that platoon are people that you can talk to about anything, and if you have a problem, and they're the people that will be promoting and demoting you. So basically, it's in everybody's best interest to get people into the platoon that makes the most sense with that stuff in mind. But obviously, it's not going to be perfect. We're going to have an auxiliary platoon, QCAG's idea. I don't name it that. I really like that name, so I think that's probably what we're going to call it, which is going to be for anybody who doesn't quite really fit into any other platoons. And I'm really hoping to encourage people to kind of found their own platoons as well, and maybe we can get another 1 or 2 rolled out. I know there's been some discussions about some of those potentially, some returning platoons, which I'd love to see. And yeah, I mean, my hope, and maybe this is naive or optimistic, but my hope is that this actually does help some of these platoons, like especially the new and returning ones, actually thrive a bit more, because they kind of have the identity fleshed out some more. So you kind of can build some of that It's not going to be the same as like the Viking era because we're not going to have the exclusive platoon chats and such, which had some benefits in that regard. I think you really kind of create your own club, and that can get people more excited and interested, and that can have, good results. But it can also make things very insular and sort of, you can't really jump between, platoons. I mean, it's almost like a dramatic thing, like, oh, you're leaving all your friends to join some other group. That's kind of weird, that kind of thing. So I think that keeping it open like it currently is a good idea, and I think that's generally every officer I've talked to has pretty much agreed with that, or at least not disagreed. Um, so I think that's probably what we're going to kind of stick with, is keeping it open, but trying to essentially just pass some of the duties down the chain of command, so that ideally just to kind of build up platoons a bit and platoon leaders some more, kind of build up the middle rungs of the chain of command. That's really what this is about. Instead of it kind of being this thing where we've got all the COs sort of lording over everybody, and then everyone just kind of is asking them or asking me about stuff, which is fine, but ideally it would be nice if there was just more people communicating with more people, essentially. So if we have those platoon leaders as a sort of first resource, it just works better. Because if I'm the only one anyone can talk to, a lot of people are just either I'm going to have too many people talking to me and I can't get to it in time, or I'm not going to know anything about what they're asking me because they're asking me very specific platoon questions that I don't have the firsthand knowledge and experience of, or people think I'm the only one they can talk to, and then they don't talk to me because they see I'm at the top of the server or whatever, and then, they feel like they don't want to bother me or whatever. So it creates some problems if that's the way things are running. So that's sort of the goal of some of these platoon initiatives. And yeah, we're going to hopefully try to, roll it out. Haven't gotten a ton of feedback on it. I mean, I appreciate everyone that has discussed this stuff. I know some people have stuff going on, but I mean, if anyone has any thoughts on any of this, I definitely welcome it because I haven't gotten too much. So I'd love to, get any and refine some of this stuff if you have thoughts. But generally speaking, everyone seems to be okay with this direction. Again, it's not a huge change. It's more just sort of making sure that we have platoon leaders that have more responsibilities but also more power, and that hopefully are qualified and feel confident in doing it, and hopefully the platoons work out and kind of promote more activity and get people promoted quicker and on time, because there's kind of more people taking over that duty. So it isn't just Ulfald doing it at the end of the month and having to do the entire clan roster, or just me kind of patrolling around the roster now and then and promoting and demoting people, because that isn't how the current system is supposed to work. But in practice, it's how it is working. Um, and just kind of having a general officer staff and saying, okay, can anyone do this? In practice, it's not working. So we need to sort of build those duties that have to be done into the chain of command and the structure of platoons and divisions, I think, is the way to do it. It worked back in the Third Fleet. It's the way we're doing it for a long time. So as much as I think we kind of did it this way because we have, acknowledged that gaming has moved to just everyone plays tons of games, so we can't necessarily lock it into platoon division structure. So hopefully with this move, what we're kind of doing is best of both worlds, where, okay, we're still open across different games so people can kind of move around, do whatever they want, but we are sort of tasking platoon leaders and game leaders with doing some of these duties that have to get done, and then they're going to be done by people that are going to know the people that they're evaluating firsthand, and they won't be responsible for massive numbers of people, but just a few, which makes it easier. The whole process should run better. Ideally, I mean, at the end of the day, we'll implement it and we'll see how it goes, but that is the hope. Okay, I'll be around for office hours shortly.